Jim Graham is the most well-connected citrus person that I know, internationally as well as nationally.
He likes to be in the field. He likes to work with growers. He likes the one-on-one contact.
One difference between him and other researchers is that he would get in these grows and it was hard to get him out of them. He called those journeys of discovery.
Dr. James H. Jim Graham Jr. was born February 26, 1952 in Birmingham, Alabama, the oldest of 3 children. His mother, Ann, was a nurse, and his father, James H. Graham Sr., was a Navy-trained medical doctor. He grew up in Philadelphia, where his father taught at Temple University. During Jim's senior year in high school, his father was recruited to start the new medical school at the University of California, Irvine, and the family moved to Newport Beach, California. Despite his father's career as a noted skin pathologist, researcher, and educator, Jim chose not to follow in his father's footsteps.
He wanted me to be a doctor, and he realized that my interest was more in plant science than in medical science, so we agreed that that would be the direction to take.
Jim received his undergraduate degree in biology at UC Irvine in 1974. While there, he met his wife Susan, whom he married in 1975, and together they have 2 children, Scott and Laura. In 1980, Jim earned his PhD in mycology soil science from Oregon State University, then continued with postdoctoral research in citrus and root diseases at the University of California, Riverside.
What I specialize in is what I call root health. So anything impinging on root health, whether it be an organism from outside like a nematode or a systemic bacteria coming at the root from the inside. So I called myself a root health specialist.
In 1981, Jim was hired by future Florida Citrus Hall of Famer Herman Reitz to work on citrus blight at the University of Florida's Citrus Research and Education Center, CREC, in Lake Alfred. For the next 35 years, his extension work would play a crucial role in managing citrus diseases and root health, helping to establish production management strategies that have become the industry standard. Over the years, Jim's root research has been invaluable in helping growers understand that what is happening below the ground is just as important as what is occurring in the canopy. He collaborated with Dr. Pete Timmer, and together they evaluated 2 new fungicides, Aliette and Ridamil, to control Phytophthora root rot. In the early 80s, Graham and Timmer traveled to northeastern Argentina to investigate an outbreak of citrus variegated chlorosis, a disease like blight commonly known as CVC. This trip, funded by the USDA, was the first of many international joint research projects for Jim in South America. His work with Brazilian researchers would give him greater insight into how Brazil had successfully managed citrus diseases like citrus canker. In 1984, with his bacterial expertise, Jim teamed up with researcher Tim Gottwald in Orlando in an effort to eliminate canker. The pair worked together for 20 years, hoping to eradicate the disease by the turn of the century. But by 2004, their hopes faded when a series of hurricanes hit Florida, beginning with Hurricane Charlie.
Charlie moved it all the way from Fort Myers to Orlando in one hurricane event. That sort of transmission of a bacterial disease by wind-blown rain had never been demonstrated before, but there was no doubt that wind-blown rain was the agent that moved it 100 miles basically in one event. So that sort of led to the obvious, which was we're not going to eradicate this disease.
With eradication off the table, Jim returned to Brazil. He wanted to see firsthand how his South American counterparts were able to coexist with citrus diseases, and to establish research affiliations with the region's most successful programs, including Fund to Citrus.
Gained experience in Brazil. I had gained opportunities to collaborate with colleagues there, and so when HLB emerged in 2004, I think that was what led me the way I proceeded here with research and developing more knowledge of the disease and how it spread.
By 2005, HLB, or Huanglongbing, the disease we now know as citrus greening, had taken root in America. Facing an uncertain timeline for a cure, Jim concentrated on a variety of approaches to living with the disease, promoting those that were economically sound and based on plant pathology principles.
So we got our confidence with him and felt he would relay good information. If he didn't know, he wouldn't make up something. We knew he would go find it out, research it, and get back to us.
Around this time, Graham and Gottwald, along with colleagues Mike Iree and Evan Johnson, made the major etiological discovery that HLB-affected trees shed half of their fibrous roots prior to symptom development in the canopy.
So now we know we got a root problem, whereas before we just thought it was in the tree. Growing those roots back is problematic and it's hard to overcome, but he was identifying why some of these things were happening.
So managing root health was really a game changer for the whole industry. Through Jim's research, he showed us that roots turn over much faster in HLB-infected trees compared to healthier trees, and we needed to manage that root environment in order for the citrus trees to thrive.
Based on an observation by grower Brian Belcher, Jim uncovered another threat to the root health of HLB-affected trees. The bicarbonate levels of the deep well water used in irrigation systems was promoting Phytophthora root rot.
Dr. Graham was able to quantify for us that high levels of calcium carbonate in the soil promote Phytophthora. So a reduction of the bicarbonates leads to a reduction of Phytophthora. He led the charge on that science for us.
Today, soil bicarbonate management is an important industry-wide practice. Jim has always had a close association with production managers throughout the industry. But more than just meeting growers in their groves, he took them on tours of various locations outside Florida to see firsthand how other producers were dealing with citrus diseases.
I remember fondly in 2006 taking a trip to Argentina with Jim and a group of growers, and that's really personifies Jim, to put boots on the ground. We all went to Argentina to see how an industry has coped with citrus canker after being endemic for decades. And not only was the industry surviving, it was thriving. We saw windbreaks, we saw frequent copper applications. It was just really refreshing to see an industry doing so well with endemic citrus canker.
One of the things that I really admire about Jim is he understands that unless growers get this knowledge and actually use it, what's the point? So he has always had a very strong extension component to his work.
Today, there are a few citrus management practices that were not initiated or influenced by Jim's work in the groves. The Florida Citrus Production Guide contains many of his recommendations on greasy spot, canker, and HLB, as well as the Diaprepes root weevil and Phytophthora. Jim retired from the University of Florida in 2018, but continued to work with citrus growers, both as a consultant and as project manager for the Citrus Research and Development Foundation. At the CRDF, he pulled together teams of scientists to analyze research proposals that came before the board of directors and select those that would have the greatest impact to the industry's survival.
I'm not sure there are many people that could have pulled together that number of distinguished scientists to help us out. We would bring these scientific advisory board members into Polk County for 2 days, and they would discuss the proposals in person, and Jim was facilitating all of those meetings.
As an American Phytopathological Society Fellow and a recipient of the Lee M. Hutchins Award, he served on the editorial boards of APS Press, Plant and Soil, and New Phytologist. He has published more than 190 referee manuscripts, 18 book chapters, and 105 non-refereed popular and extension articles. Jim is heavily sought after as a speaker and has participated in countless international symposia and seminars, and organized a workshop on citrus canker for the 2008 International Citrus Congress held in Wuhan, China. In addition, Graham and Gottwald are the long-standing organizers of the International Research Conference on HLB held in Florida and California. As if that wasn't enough, Jim has also been very active as a teacher and is an outstanding mentor. Aside from regular guest lectures, he taught in the Citrus Pest Management class at CREC since its inception more than 25 years ago. He has chaired committees of 15 PhD and master's students and served on more than 20 student committees, as well as an outside examiner of several foreign dissertations. Dr. Jim Graham has distinguished himself not only as a brilliant scientist, but as a true friend to the Florida citrus grower. And his integrity, along with his abiding understanding that science should be used to solve problems, not just create knowledge, makes him worthy of this honor.
One thing about Dr. Graham that we all enjoyed was his ability to communicate on a grower level.
I want to reiterate that he's gone above and beyond.
Something he always welcomed was, give us a call. And when we did, he was there the next day.
That's Jim. He's respectful, inquisitive, and a true gentleman.
Jim Graham is a national treasure.
We are honored to welcome Dr. James H. Jim Graham Jr. into the Florida Citrus Hall of Fame.